Look, bright and early on this Sunday, 4th of July. Greetings, beautiful people. Welcome to the True Health Forever podcast where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health.
Just
You had it
messed me
until
up.
the very last
I
one.
know. I'm
You
like, what comes
decided
next?
to Wolverine shank me.
Sorry.
Goodness. So first off, let me let y'all know this. It's what time is it? It's 9 a.m.
The 9:05.
It's 9:05, right?
Really isn't early for us,
It's
but on
not.
the weekend
Yeah,
to
on the
actually be
weekend.
on doing stuff on
Look.
camera is early.
Look, and I woke up this morning. I don't know if you knew what I did this morning, but I
Uh-oh.
went to go cut my dad's hair,
Oh my goodness.
and he plays basketball at 8 a.m. So I got there at 7 to cut his hair. So long story short, we're running on fumes. All right, we're running on some fumes, but it's still gonna be a pretty good podcast today.
It's gonna be a great podcast.
Of course. So it's the 4th of July.
Independence Day or whatever.
Independence Day, right? Of America, beautiful sentiment around it. But because it's 4th of July and everyone's talking about independence, we wanted to kind of shift the conversation a little bit to make it about yourself. Right? How do you define your own independence? How do you define your own freedom? So that's what we're talking about today. But Sinclair, I gotta be honest with you.
Devon.
I made a slight remix to it
Did you?
this morning. Yes, I did. Because
he loves that I'm good on quick on my feet and love
yeah,
last minute surprises.
You got it. So I was talking to. Honestly, we'll get into it, and then I'll talk about
how you got into
how we.
I'm guessing your dad has something to do with it.
Yes, yes, he did. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. T life. Dancing. I don't got the energy to dance, to be honest with you. Early in the morning, I'll leave that to the. Oh, you know what doesn't give me energy? Those vocals. I'll tell you that right now. All right. So I went to my dad's house, cut his hair, and not obviously, but Demetrius was there.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that don't know, my little brother, he has a unique perspective.
He does.
Of life.
On a lot of things.
On a lot of things. Just a very, very unique way of looking at things that I appreciate personally because I feel like it always sparks conversation. It's always like, I never thought of it that way.
Right.
So I was bringing up the podcast. They're like, oh, how come you're not coming to play basketball with us today? I was like, oh, we got podcast. 9 a.m. Can't be there, y'all. Sorry. We won 6 games in a row yesterday. Shout out to owner for coming out. It was fun stuff. But they were like, what are you going to talk about? I was like, oh, we're talking about, Independence Day. We're talking about personal freedom. And then we started talking about freedom versus choice.
Okay.
And basically, Demetrius was saying, like, you know what? We choose certain things. And it was like, my dad was talking about, working. The fact that I need to work this job in order to pay my bills. So I'm not free. Demetrius was like, but you chose that job. And he was like, yeah, I did, but I got all these bills. And Demetrius was like, but you chose to spend that money in those bills.
He's very, very good point.
I was like, yeah, I did choose it, but I'm still forced to work. And he was like, well, I don't think, I feel like if you had the freedom to make that choice, then that's you're free and you made that choice. And every choice that you make comes with consequences. And I was like, Demetrius, it's 8:00. First of all, I'm like, dang.
So he says, as long as you have choice, you have freedom.
Yeah, to him, as long as you have that choice, yeah, you have freedom. And with every choice that you make, there are consequences. So that's kind of the new direction that I want to take. I feel like before we talked about this defining freedom, we can still definitely define freedom for what it is. But I kind of want to talk about the different choices that you make and how that choice affects your freedom or affects your quality of life. Is that okay with you before we dive into it? Can we make that remix?
We can do it. Let's jump in there.
All right, cool. So first, let's define just freedom for ourselves of what we think it is. I feel like we may have slightly different definitions, which is cool. I can
Lead
go
the way.
first. So freedom to me, kind of like Demetrius, but it's the ability to make the best choice for you that makes you happy,
Mm.
right? Because I feel like there's always pretty much going to be that balance of making a choice and maybe losing something. But at the
Right.
end of the day, like if you're able to make the choices that are best for you as a person, or as a family, I feel like you have freedom. And I feel like the taking a little history backtrack. I feel like the it's history time with the Von Truvel. Oh, but I feel like Independence Day was the fact that the United States was being taxed by Britain,
Hmm.
but they weren't having the political representation, right? So it was the taxation without representation, the whole thing. The Boston Tea Party, they threw the tea off thing. We're not going to pay the tea tax. Here's the thousands of millions of dollars of tea in the ocean. Forget you, Britain. That's what's happening.
Can I just interject here? I feel like once you become an adult, you need to go back and retake a lot of the history classes that you took
Yes,
as a child.
agreed.
I feel like one, history was always boring to me,
It was.
and I didn't actually understand what was happening. But I
Mm.
feel like now as an adult, when I hear you explain things, I'm just like, that's what happened. I promise you, I learned about all of this, but I'm just like, that's what happened.
Yep.
Like it just, anyways, that's what
Hey,
I am
all you
like, and I
saying
am
to
like to
me
do.
is I'm a better history teacher than the history teacher you had in high school. That's all I'm
Absolutely,
hearing.
that's of course.
Appreciate
Well, I'd rather learn from history with
you.
your deep, sensual voice any day.
Listen, this is taking an awkward
Sorry,
educational turn.
my bad, my bad. Oh,
I
bad. Okay,
apologize, podcast listeners.
4th of July in Boston Tea Party that threw the tea off.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened?
All right.
Sorry.
So basically, Boston Tea Party,
Mhm.
we still pay taxes in America,
Mhm.
right? But we have the representation. So that's again the kind of sacrifice that Americans make. We're still going to tax ourselves. We're just going to be fully fiscally responsible for ourselves. We need to create our own army now. So there is a list of other kind of consequences that came with the freedom from being taxed from another person.
Right.
Right. So for us, we have to think who is our Britain, or
Hmm.
what is our Britain, right? What's that thing that maybe we're chained to? What's that thing that's uh not giving us the freedom? But and then also, what are the things that we are willing to do extra to gain that freedom in certain aspects? So long story short, freedom for me is being able to make that choice on what's best for you, but still understanding that there will be
Yeah.
some little extra something you got to put into it.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Queen.
I think you pretty much covered it. I think the first thing, like the most simple way that I could think of to describe freedom is just the ability to do what I want, when I want,
Mm-hmm.
how I want.
Like drink your wife's green tea.
Just like that. Um, but yeah, I think there is that underlying that caveat that is like with the understanding that every choice comes with consequences.
Mm-hmm.
You may not even realize what they are at the moment, but I think knowing that you made the decision makes it easier to accept those consequences. Whereas if you have to do something that you, which Demetrius probably argue like you still chose it,
Right.
but if you have to do something out of like obligation, whatever consequences come, I feel like you're gonna have an issue with those because it's like I didn't choose this.
I agree with that.
This is just put upon me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like I chose it, then it's like okay, well, this is the kind of the, I don't say the cost of freedom, but there is always some type of cost of freedom.
Right.
But yeah,
I do like that kind of variable of control.
mm-hmm.
And maybe control is not the right word, but yeah, because it's one of my pet peeves when someone makes a decision for me, and I know it's like, I don't know if that's the right decision. I know I wouldn't make that decision, and I got to rock with that. And if I'm personally liable for the consequence of that decision, it makes it a little bit harder as well.
Right.
So yeah, that's a great point, Queen. So shifting over a little bit, we have 4 pillars of health.
Yes.
Our 4 pillars of health, TH4, if this is your first time, are physical health,
yes,
social health,
yes,
spiritual health,
yes,
and economic health.
yes.
All right. So we're going to kind of go through each of these sections and kind of talk about choices that you can be making in each of them. And then I also have a game.
Of course.
Do you want to play the game like sprinkled all throughout, or just save the game for the end?
Let's give people something to look forward to at the end.
Cool. So give people what they want.
Yeah.
At the end.
At the end.
Gotcha. So up first, your favorite, physical health.
See.
Can we, one, show the graphic, and then two, can we go into kind of choices that we make in our physical health and how that impacts our physical health? Go ahead, Queen.
Yes. So I think the first thing that comes to mind when we're talking about the choices that we make that impact our physical health, number one, what we eat. And I think that that's coming to light more now. I think honestly, previously, we just as a society really believed that what we ate didn't affect our health, which
You
is
think so?
Yes. And not all of society. I feel like there's definitely the folks who've been coming up in the kind of the natural health sector have always realized that. But I think as a society, like a couple maybe 50 years ago, if you had asked your doctor, how does food affect my health, they'd have been like, it doesn't. So that's why I feel like it's, when I say society, parts of society I think are coming into believing this. But I think by now I think we can all agree. I think we're all in agreement that what you eat significantly affects your physical health, because what you eat becomes what you make your.
I just want to interject one word in there.
Yes.
What you choose to eat.
What you choose to eat, because unless you are in some situation where you are being fed, you choose what you eat. So what you choose to eat literally makes up what your body, the building blocks for what your body builds and remakes your blood tissues, your cells, your blood, like your blood recirculates, like all of these things. It only has what's inside of your body to work with. So what you put in your body directly affects the nutrients and things that your body has to work with. Think about if you're like building a house or something like that. You need your wood, you need your concrete, you need all this stuff. If I told you to build a house and I only gave you 5 bricks, like you're gonna be like, how am I supposed to do this?
Right. It's an interesting metaphor, because as soon as you started talking about building homes, what story did I think of? You got it, the Three Little Pigs.
Oh yeah. Exactly what came to mind.
Right there. But the fact that one pig built it out of straws, right? So what you're putting inside your body, you're creating your castle, you're creating your body.
Right.
Boom. We got straws. We had, I know, last one was brick.
Hey, is
what was
that
one
straws?
in the middle? Yeah.
I don't remember.
Right, well, there's 3 different houses. Yeah. One was terrible and blew over really, really quickly. The other one was kind of cool, but didn't quite make it there. And the other one was brick. So it's like, as you're building the body, your castle, you want bricks.
Right.
And I feel like usually bricks are the healthy leafy greens, the whole fruits and organic stuff and all that good stuff. And the straws, I love French fries.
Right.
But those straws are almost literally
right.
looking like haze, right? So if you only ate French fries all your life, that's not a strong body. So your immune system's going to be weak. Your probably muscular system will probably be weak. All that other stuff. So build your house out of bricks, y'all.
And I feel like for the average person, I feel like the interesting part about it is I feel like as we're young, we generally have more reserves in our body too. We still have because when we're born, we're pretty healthy, right? We're pretty healthy. You don't have too much of the world that has, come in and affected you yet.
Right.
But of course, as we, make our life choices, we unfortunately, these days, children are introduced to processed food very early. All of the things that lead to, so that when you're a young adult, that's when we start to see the consequences of what we've been eating all of our childhood. And unfortunately, it's starting earlier and earlier these days. But I feel like that's what I think gets some people thinking. I mean, a lot of us, including myself, thinking in high school that I could eat whatever I wanted,
right,
because I danced 6 days a week. My metabolism. Thank you.
Yeah, it's all good.
My metabolism.
Hey y'all, listen. These 9 a.m. podcasts, they about to hit different. Letting you know right now. Less of a filter, words being made up.
Metabolism.
It sounds cool.
Right.
It probably means something.
My metabolism was quicker, and so that kind of lends the summary or whatever, that I can eat whatever I want and it doesn't affect my body.
Mm.
But we learn later in life, unfortunately, sometimes after it's too late,
Right.
that those decisions absolutely do affect your life. So that was a really long way to say what we eat. I think the next one was exercise, or like how we move. Yes. So like we want to be able to do all of those things that we want. I always like to bring up the example of like I want to play with my grandkids and my great grandkids. Right. I want to be able to actually like play with them, pick them up, run around with them. And in order to do that, you got to be able to move your body in those ways. You got to be able to run. You got to be able to walk, for as long as possible. So I think that's why it's important to get out there and move. Exercise isn't only to lose weight, right? Otherwise we would only say like bigger people need to exercise. That's not true. Every single person should get out there and move their body, because it's more than just losing weight. It's making sure it's like the saying, use it or lose it. That's absolutely true with your body. If you don't use it, you will lose the functionality, right? And unfortunately in today's society, especially in this COVID era, it is so easy to wake up, go from one sedentary position to the next, and you are there all day. Like you have to force yourself to be active, right? Whereas in some other societies and some other cultures, it is naturally more active because they do have to go out to get their food. But we live in the era of just ultimate convenience for a lot of folks. Not everybody's in this situation, right? But for the average American, we have a lot of convenience. Whether that's, I'm not saying you have access to quality things, but we all have access to something, whether that's a liquor store or whether that's a Whole Foods, right? You have access to something that's usually pretty close. So I think it eliminates the need to move and do things to live our life. So then you have to be purposeful to integrate that movement into your life. So whether that's going to take a walk, whether that's maybe you if you live close to something that you need to go to, if you live close to the post office or something like that, rather than driving, go take a walk. But I think integrating it into your life is the best way. And I'm also a proponent for functional mobility, which is kind of I don't want to say it's new because I don't know the history of functional mobility. I imagine it's a spinoff of like yoga,
or just martial arts.
Martial arts. It's kind of like a mixture of those. But it is movement and exercise that is specifically for the purpose of functional, exactly what it sounds like, being able to move your body and maintain functionality of your critical joints, like your hips, your shoulders, your knees, and things like that. So I think it's important to just choose to move your body, yes, on a daily basis, so that you don't lose the ability to move your body, at a young age.